get started. Update on Tage Thompson. What can you tell us?
He is expected to be back in practice tomorrow, and I would think that he'll be ready for Saturday as a result.
Just depending upon how he gets through.
Yeah, because of the break, the normal thing to do would put him through with the medical team in a skate, which he did today. And that skate was intense enough that we didn't want him to do both. So he was really good in that skate, and because that was a very intense skate, we did not want to double load him. He could have jumped in practice today, but he had a pretty good workout. So he'll go in practice tomorrow, and because of that, everything was really good. So he looks like he should be back to normal. The 9 days was very good for him.
Now that you've picked things up again, you got to kind of activate your team again, get things going, get things activated. You got a game, you got 2 days of practice to do it in. What kind of things do you have in your mind that you got to get them over the hump to get them ready for Saturday?
Well, I think the first thing you need to do as a coach is realize how much they're going to get themselves ready to go, and then try to pick up maybe where they're not. So I don't feel like I have to do a lot. You just have to do the right things. And I've got a lot of confidence and faith in our group, starting with our leadership group, through the whole team. We've got lots of leaders in that locker room, and lots of guys that love the game, love playing here, love their teammates, and they are going to be ready to go. Now, we're playing a team that's already been back in a rhythm. We're not in a rhythm yet. That could be, and that is a challenge. But I think our guys know and understand that they may not feel great right away, but they're hungry and ready to go. They're disappointed about how they left for the break too. I know that for sure.
From your perspective, your reaction to Dylan getting the contract that he did and getting that out of the way, just given, you've seen his work, up close since he got to the NHL.
Yeah, and I love the way Kevin operates, and working for the Pagulas, you in this case, when I think of all of that, and I think of Dylan, he deserves it. He has earned it, and it's great. It's phenomenal. He wants to be here. Obviously, I think it dispels the myth of lots of people that aren't in Buffalo. They love to say players don't want to play in Buffalo, and it dispels that myth that has been out there previously. I think you can see now there's no truth to that. These guys love this place, and they want to be here, and they'll sacrifice to be here. And he's a guy that is a leader. When I look at him as a leader, and I mentioned this group over the summer, the players that we were drafting, that next generation of players coming into our organization, some that are here now and the youngest guys in our lineup now, they all look up to Dylan. And he's an incredible person and player to look up to. And we're very happy that we have him and can put him in that leadership position with all those young guys coming in that watch us. And, he and Tage as well. And so, his contract was very similar to Tage, and I think that it should be that way. I think those two players are very comparable guys for the impact they have on winning and potential winning.
It has to make you comfortable, because centermen are some of the hardest quantities to get a good centerman. You want to have two good centermen on your, you want to have four good centermen, but you know what I'm saying. And now you've got your top two centermen for 7 years now. As a coach, that has to be, I don't know the right word, relief or whatever it is, that not only do you have them, but they're two good centermen.
Yeah, they are. They're good centermen in so many ways. The bottom line for them is they're winners, and they compete to win. And they will not be satisfied with not winning. And they do it the right way. Like I mentioned, they're very, very good people. You as a coach, you have only an hour or two a day to really influence your team. And there's 22 hours, 23 hours the rest of the day. And another bulk of that, they're hanging out with their teammates, and they're influencing them. And, to have Dylan and Tage now, knowing they're going to be here for 7 more years plus, they send the right messages. They have worked, they've gotten to where they are in their careers, not by skill and talent, but by work ethic and commitment. And that was nice to be able to reward those guys for that. And I know they're going to be rewarded more because that's the way they approach it.
So kind of
great leaders.
combining all of that, Don, and I asked Kevin the same question specific to Dylan. And remember, when all this was kind of starting to form, when he dropped the gloves in the Garden, we've seen that grit from him and flashes of the skill. And at the World Championship this summer, when we were able to see him, it seemed like he hit another gear. Do you see it that way, or what has his progression been in terms of that skill when he hit that next level, so that a deal like this really does make sense?
That event is a great visual, Adam, to bring that up, because you go there and he's playing with other premier players from the league, and so if you go there as Dylan, you start to realize that there's other players around the league that you looked up to, you respected, and now you're on the ice with them every day, and you realize, I'm every bit as good as this guy. And in some areas, I'm better than this guy, or some areas I'm better than that guy. And so it's much like Darlene going to the All-Star game last year. You start to realize that you're arriving, and the work you've put in, you've brought yourself up levels. And I think the World Championships were big for Dylan last year, and a big impact for that. And the other thing you mentioned was just his growth. He continues. He never settles. He scores 2 goals and he leaves the game, and he's thinking about the other 2 he should have had or could have had, and it's just always thinking forward. And he's hungry. He's another guy that's grabbed me a couple times after a game, and he usually grabs me after we don't win a game, and he's start me against that guy next game, and it's already, and you're telling him, just, we don't play that team for 3 months, Dylan. So, but he just can't let it go. He just can't not succeed. It bothers him. That I've not heard a report, but an illness, so he could very well practice tomorrow. We're monitoring that to see how he's feeling, really hour by hour. So I don't know the answer to that yet, but the hope is he practices tomorrow.
What do you think? With Tage going down with the injury, it's late at night, Wednesday at this point, where Darlene could have just gone and said, I'm going to go on my vacation, I don't want to go to the All-Star game, but he chose to go to represent this team and also to fill in for Tage. What did you just think about his decision to still go down there and I guess participate when he didn't necessarily have to?
Yeah, the All-Star game, everybody thinks it's a great grand thing, and it is. But these guys are banged up and battered, and when you already had your mind on, you're already looking at, geez, I can actually breathe, I can take a few days and relax, and your mind shifted one way, and then you present that to him in this case. It is a lot. In the quick conversation we had with him, he knows that by going to that event, he's representing Sabres and Sabre fans and the team, and instantly he knew, okay, I have to do this. I have an obligation to do this, and you could see him wrap his mind around, okay, and if I've got an obligation, I'm going to enjoy it too. But it was an automatic shift up, because you've got all these plans, and now you've got to disappoint other people as well. So he represented us well. Obviously, he's a great person and great personality, and we all knew he was an all-star anyway. So it worked out well in the end for him. And I think Tage, he was bummed he couldn't go, but it was impressive on his side that it was like, okay, I can't go. I wish I could have, but the priority is being ready for our remaining games. And so for him, it was like no big deal. I know it'd be fun to go down there, but the real thing is winning more games.
Don, thinking about your comments just before the break about this team finding its identity, or starting to, and really playing to it on a more consistent basis from night to night. Now to come off this break, having some rest, final 32 games, you guys are right there. The pressure, kind of the crucible of that, pushing toward the playoffs, meaningful games late in the season. what's your message to them, and how much does that aid in their development and kind of pushing them forward?
Yeah, we talked about that right away today, the final, regular season, the final 32 games we have left. And we need to make sure we compete at an extremely high level. And when that's the number one focus, all of the other good things fall in place. We execute so much better systematically. We play as a five-man unit. We go to the net better. We shoot instead of making an extra play. That competitive, drive. And, when we don't have that, we overpass and we complicate the simple. So we need to play simple, hard, direct. I think there's been enough games that our guys identify with that, and then our identity itself, the guys are comfortable with the system we play. They execute at a pretty high proficiency level. That's getting better and better. When it doesn't, there's a fall off. There's been a fall off, the fatigue that we've seen. Our efficiency falls dramatically. And then when we don't come out dialed in to compete. And so I think our guys have a great grasp on it, that when we could turn our focus or thoughts to worry about a playoff race or anything else, we don't need to. Just do the things I just mentioned. Get ready to compete. You can only take care of the game in front of you. We can't worry about another team. And if you do that, I'm confident we'll be in the spot we want to be in. If we're not, we probably screwed up right there. Right there is probably where any team would screw up.
All right. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.